Let's we're going to take the Aron out of the hearse now, and our holy workers, led by Mr. Clark, are going to take the Aron over to the final earthly resting place. And as we do so, I'm going to read Psalm 91. Keep looking. Israel Yom Mitzvah Shaddai Yisrael Amar Adonai Mosim Tzedasei Hecht Ki Yatzilcha Mipach Yakush Midever Avot V'Ever To Yasek Ach Mipachat Kenafat Pachaseh. Let's pause this. Let's just pause for 1 second. Thank you. Ki Yatzilcha Mipach Yakush Midever Avot V'Ever To Yasek Ach Mipachat Kenafat Pachaseh. You should mute that, David. It'll be an echo. Sirin Pachalayo Michatia of your mom and Deborah Balto Yawok Mikafta, and Shitzaran, Home to Elephant above me, Necha, Lecha, where you got Shrak Necha, Mabit, Kishamat, Shem Kure, Yatad, and Marcia Yon, Santano, Necha, Sune, Lecha, Nega, where you grab Lecha. Key. Shebe says, Yon Vitzel Shaddai, Yasanan, Mara, and I'm on the sea, or have Tachoki, Atiohami, Pachakut, Deborah, I hope you ever told Yasafach, Pachat, and Pachate. Never say for me, Zero and Pachadai, and Hecht if your mommy never both for your we can't have your should sir. He promised if I offer for Vami, Minecha, Lecho, you got shot by Necha to beat, so not the same dress. The Father and Australian was something in Necho, Sine Lecha, the Negro, you called the Lacha, Kuna Lacha, it's out of Lacha, Shmorcha, the Claudia Hacha. The Shavit sister, Yom Mitzvah Shaddai, Sanan, the Mara, and I'm also say, I'll have the whole key out to Fami Pachakush. Never will be ever to Yasef off the top of the Pachata. So never to Farabi for the Spirit of the Lion, the Faith of the Mummy, never Head of Yeshitza Rhyme, Home to the Isle of the Vami, Necha, Racho, Yigash, Gas Necha, Habiti, for Mata Shem, Sirak, Yatad, and Maxio, and Santa Necha, the Sine, Racho, Rav, and Nega, and Kerba Racho. Ina Racho, it's have a Racho, Shmocha, the Father, Racha, and the Nation, so some of the Yachme, the other one. You say the State of Yon, the Social Dice, the North. Mara, the name of the city, I have to talk here to come in Pachakush. Never hope you ever tell Yasa off the Pachat can affect that effect. You never suffer on the Syrian Pachalai, and if you from me, never both of you have you shit around coming to file of Rami, Necha Lacho Yigash. After Necha Tabit, Shumat, the Shimper, I don't know, something in Necha, Lacho, and Nego, you called the Lacha. This issue, Yom Tov Shaddai, Sanan, and I have to follow. We have to come in half of this, we never will be able to Yasa. Stop it, and I have to I should have said, Yom Tov Shaddai, and I will not say, I have to come in half of this, we never will be able to Yasa. I'm a fit in the ball for your love, the better, should say, Ryan.
Okay, I wanted to welcome everyone who is here today to get that we've gathered here to mourn the loss of our beloved Bradley Fields. I wanted, before we begin the next part of the service, I wanted to just give a bit of an explanation of the logistics. of how this is going to work. So first of all, my name is Ruth Friedman, and I am a member of the clergy at Ohev Shalom, along with Rabbi Herzfeld, who is, as you can see, at the cemetery. I will be facilitating the Zoom component, meaning I am able to be the host. And so in order to minimize any noise or interference, because thank God, in a testament to how much everyone loved Bradley, there are 87 participants on the call right now. And so in order to minimize any chance of noise interference, I will be unmuting people. We will have everyone unmute, and I will unmute people as it is their turn to speak. And so that way there isn't a chance of any noise interference. We wanted to thank David Balto, a dear friend of Bradley, who is also there. And so between David's cameras and Rabbi Herzfeld's cameras, we should be able to get a view of what is happening right now at the cemetery. Another thing I just wanted to add is that this is, as you can probably see on your screen, we are recording the service, so just to bear in mind. Additionally, if you're not familiar with Zoom, if you look at the bottom of your Zoom window, there's a chat icon, and you can chat there. And so you can chat to the whole group, or you can choose to send me a private message. And so if there are any issues, or you would like to speak, or you have any questions, you can chat me. So that's where you can chat me. I had included already a link for Psalm 91. And so that's the overview of the Zoom logistics on my end. And we now are going to invite David Balto, who spent so much time with Bradley in his last days, to recite Psalm 23. And I will unmute him. And also, please just bear with us with patience, as it may just take a moment between steps to work on the logistics of everything. Okay, David.
Okay, can I be heard? Yes. Okay.
Yes.
Mizmor LeDavid, Adonai ro'i lo echzar, bino desher yarbitzeni, almei menuchot yancheleni, nafshi yeshovev yancheni b'maglei tzedek leman shemo, gam ki elech b'gei tzalmavet lo irara, ki ata imadi, shivtecha umishantecha, kema yanachamuni. Taroch lefanai shulchan neged sorarai nishanta b'shemen roshi kosi revaya achtov b'chesed yerdefuni kol yemei chaya v'shivti b'veit Adonai leorach yamim. The Lord is my shepherd, I shall not want. He makes me lie down in green pastures. He leads me beside the still waters. He restores my soul. He leads me in the path of righteousness for his name's sake. Though I walk in the valley of the shadow of death, I fear no evil, for you are with me. Your rod and your staff, they comfort me. You prepare a table before my enemies. You anoint my head with oil, my cup overflows. May goodness and kindness pursue me all the days of my life, and I dwell in the house of the Lord forever.
I will now recite Psalm 15. Mizmor LeDavid, Adonai mi yigor ba'ohalecha, mi yishkon b'har kodshecha. Holech tamim ufoel tzedek v'dover emet bilvavo. Lo ragal al leshono, lo asa l're'ehu ra'a, v'cherpa lo nasa al krovo. Nivzeh be'enav niv'as, ve'et yir'ei Adonai yichabed. Nishba lehara ve'lo yamir. Kaspo lo natan beneshech, v'shochad al naki lo lakach. Osei ela lo yimot le'olam. A song of David. Lord, who may sojourn in your tent, who may dwell on your holy mountain. One who walks in purity, does what is righteous, and speaks the truth from the heart. Who has no slander on the tongue, nor has done harm to a fellow, nor casts disgrace toward a neighbor. In whose eyes a contemptible person is repulsive, but who honors those who are in awe of the Lord. Who swears truthfully even to personal hurt, and never retracts. Who does not lend money on interest, nor takes a bribe against the innocent. One who does these things shall never falter. So I know that this is a surreal experience on many levels. First, that many people were not expecting to be here today. that having lost Bradley so soon and so unexpectedly, and also, of course, the added reality that most of us are here on Zoom, and that at the cemetery is just Rabbi Herzfeld, David Balto, and Noah Bradley, one of Bradley's two sons. And so I'm grateful to be able to have Zoom today in order to be able to hear from so many of Bradley's relatives and friends, and so many people who loved him. And we will begin in a moment with the family, and then we will also hear from Rabbi Jonathan Hecht on behalf of Stephanie, and also hear from David Balto and Bill Stixrud, good friends of Bradley, and then Rabbi Herzfeld will conclude the eulogy component of the service. And to know Bradley was to know his smile and the work that he did. And as a performer, as a magician, and the way that he would not just bring joy to people, but also really make people smile and also help them to learn. And it reminded me of a Gemara that we have in the tractate of Ta'anit, when the prophet Elijah says to one of the rabbis, they see two brothers in the marketplace. And Elijah, the prophet, says, those two guys, they have a share in the world to come. And the rabbi reacts and he says, how would you know that? And he goes up to the men and he says, what is your occupation? Probably expecting that they are miracle workers or people who are the most committed to doing the best work in the world, very, very holy people. And what is the response? They say, we are jesters and we cheer up the depressed. And that's the response that they have. And I thought of Bradley when thinking about this Gemara, because what it's really saying is that in thinking about who are the people amongst us who we know are the most righteous or the most holy, it's the people who are able to bring smiles to other people's faces. And the rabbis who comment here, they say, oh, it's not just that you tell jokes. It's not the kind of laughter that you think of as something you react to watching a TV show, but it's the kind of laughter and joy that is genuine. Simcha is the word that they use, and really brings a love not only just of laughter, but also really closer to a love of the divine and closer to a love of important things. And I think that also speaks to the beauty of who Bradley was, that he was someone who wanted to make people smile, but also not just for the sake of smiling, and also brought so much richness and joy, and also even helped children learn math and all of these things, try to use his talents and skills to make the world a better place. And so I know that I join with everyone here in just our tremendous sadness of finding ourselves here today and saying goodbye to him. And I wanted to now turn to Noah, who was going to help facilitate the next series of speakers. Noah, I'm going to unmute you now. Is that okay?
Sure. Can everyone
Okay,
hear me?
And I'll mute myself now, and so I'll let you direct the next part if that's okay. Just tell me who we should unmute.
I believe Jeffrey Feldstein, his brother, has some words to say.
Okay, is going to speak first? Okay. Wait 1 moment, please. Okay. Did that work? Okay.
Hello?
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I'm Brad's younger brother. I don't know what to say. I'm going to miss my brother. I've known Bradley my entire life. I shared a room with him till I was in my teens, till he left home. You know, we're brothers, so we did all the things that brothers do as children. We played ball, learned how to throw a frisbee together. And then there was always the Jeff, come here, I need you for something. What do you need me for? And it was always pick a card, because he spent all his time perfecting his craft. He was so dedicated to that. And he went on and did it, you know, in that Bradley way. It was just, he was never going to do it in a half-assed way. He put everything into it and went on to entertain thousands and thousands of people around the world. And I feel sorry for the people who never get to see him. you know, I haven't seen much of him as an adult. We didn't see each other very often. When we did, sometimes it would be, you know, nice, and sometimes it wouldn't. And but I was hoping in the years to come to spend more time talking to him, and I'm just sorry I won't be able to do that. And I think you know, he's always a very interesting and intelligent person, very entertaining and charming, and I think the world has lost a light, and that's all. I'm going to miss him. I'm sorry to see him go this way. That's all I can say right now. I know, except I know except that he was, you know, dedicated to his art and his craft, and he loved his children dearly. And that's all. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Jeff.
You're welcome, Noah.
Next we'll hear from my grandmother, my father's mother, Rosalind.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. Go ahead.
Go ahead. You can talk.
Okay,
Loud.
this is so hard. I can never explain how much I feel for Brad or how close we were. Anyhow, I did write a few words. He was my first red-haired baby, and he was a darling boy. And I love you so much, Bradley. I didn't ever let you go. We were so close. I will just hold you tightly in my mind and in my heart for the rest of my life. I love you, Bradley. That's all.
Okay. Noah, did you?
Yeah, I'll say a few words.
Okay.
My father was a very proud man. He always saw the world as being different from the way it was, being better than the way it was, and he always had lofty goals and lofty dreams for how to achieve this world that he wanted so much. The community that he wanted, the family that he wanted, the career that he wanted, the dream that he wanted. And oftentimes he was a difficult person to live with simply because he had these incredibly high standards. But I know that everything he did for us, he did because he loved us, and he wanted us to be the best version of ourselves that we can be. He was a wonderful performer, a wonderful friend to so many people. Judaism was very important to him always. Lately, he's been one of the only people that I've been able to speak to in an open and honest way. I've been able to tell him things about myself that I haven't been open with very many other people. I'm going to miss our conversations very much. It's hard to imagine the world without him. I've been angry with him probably more often than I should. Often felt that he was trampling on me and destroying my ability to be my true self. But he always did it from a place of love. He always wanted me to be the best version of myself. Never thought I would be living without him. To have him taken from us so suddenly, it's truly tragic and unexpected and frankly surprising. But I know he'll live on in my heart and the hearts of so many people. Thank you. And finally, my brother Jonathan.
So my dad, he was a very creative man. Ever since he was a child, he was fascinated by magic. He devoted his entire life to that craft. First apprenticing with magician Jack Adams, and then later traveling to Paris to study mime after college. It was there in Paris that he met my mother. Sleight of hand and suspended disbelief meant everything to my father. I'm sure I'll never understand what so fascinated him about magic and illusion. However, one thing is for certain. He had an undying passion for his craft and a commitment to artistic integrity. The Chicago Tribune once said of my father, a spellbinder of a magician. With his curly red hair and mime-like air of bemusement, he had some of Groucho Marx's surrealistic charm. Rarely have I seen magic with such grace and wit. Field's delivery was at least as magical as his actual sleight of hand. And in a world so often dominated by has-beens and never-weres, his expert craftsmanship was quite refreshing. In addition to his penchant for theater, my father was devoted to his family and his Jewish faith. He rescued me from addiction and certain death many times. My brother credits him with getting him for his epilepsy that he needed. Even 21 years after he and my mother had separated, he cared for her when she had been disabled due to multiple sclerosis. Also, it seems important to point out that my father was a philosopher. He earned his undergraduate at the State University of New York and was fascinated still years later by reading Spinoza. One final thing I will say about my father, he was not a bad singer or guitar player. This was not his most notable accomplishment, but perhaps it is what I will remember him for the most. When I was little, he used to come and sit on the edge of my bed and sing songs to me before I would go to sleep. The one I remember most is Blackbird by the Beatles. The words still haunt me now. Take these sunken eyes and learn to see all your life. You are only waiting for this moment to arise. Take these broken wings and learn to fly. You are only waiting for this moment to be free. My father was not a perfect man, but he touched many lives through his performance and was dedicated to his family. I can say honestly, and without doubt or hesitation, that his evils in this life did not outweigh his goods. I have heard it is said in the Talmud that he who saves one life saves the world in time. My father didn't believe I should have to die alone of drug addiction. My father didn't believe that my brother's epilepsy seizures could not be treated. My father didn't believe that his estranged wife, who he had separated from more than 20 years ago, should have to suffer alone. The Talmud teaches us that these actions of selflessness and compassion did not just save me, did not just save my brother, did not just bring comfort to my mother, but that someday they will be the salvation of the entire world. It is my will and my prayer that my father's works on this earth be honored and remembered, and that his soul may rest in peace.
Thank you. We will now hear from Rabbi Jonathan Hecht, who is a close friend of Bradley, and Stephanie, also who was Bradley's partner for these past 10 years. Let me just one moment to pull this up. There we go. Okay, you should be unmuted now.
Thank you, Rabbi. The Hebrew poet Hannah Senesh wrote, Yesh kochavim she'oram magia artza rak ka'asher hem atzmam avdu ve'enam. There are stars up above, so far away we only see their light long, long after the star itself is gone. And so it is with people that we loved. Their memories keep shining ever brightly, though their time with us is done. But the stars that light up the darkest night, these are the lights that guide us. As we live our days, these are the ways we remember. Stephanie wrote, what I want to say about Bradley is that he was an inspirer. He had the particular skill to mesmerize children and adults with discovery and wonder. From being on Broadway to performing around the world, to teaching school in Chinatown, in New York City, Bradley wanted people to have a world-class experience and expand their point of view. Bradley said that in magic, there are a limited number of tricks. He explained that what makes a performance amazing is what you do with those tricks, how you draw people in with your story and your personality. So Bradley created shows such as Mathemagic and Out of Thin Air. He inspired children to learn about history and numbers and math through magic. He inspired adults to open their minds with comedy and vaudeville-styled illusions that had substance and classical beauty. Bradley was a star in the truest sense of the word. Through his performance, he increased light, inspired us with humor, and amazed us with magic. He is now a star in heaven, so far away, but let us keep his memory shining ever brightly in our lives, so that when the night is dark, his light will continue to guide us as we live our days, and that is how we will remember him. Bradley's star reached so many people around the world. A testament to Bradley is that on this Zoom call, our friends and family from Ohev Sholem and Florida, and Rabbi Leanna Morit from Jersey City, Stephanie's family in Israel, and many, many friends in New York, Ohio, and California. Bradley truly spread light to so many places in this world. He made a difference. May we be inspired by Bradley to participate, to question, and to reach high to the wonder of discovery and learning. And may his memory be a blessing.
Thank you. Now we will now hear from David Balto, who, I'm sorry, I'm just looking for his name. Rabbi, one moment, it looks like we may have lost him for a moment. Apologies. Okay, Rabbi, I'm going to unmute you then. Rabbi, are you there? Oops, sorry. Rabbi, are you there?
Yeah.
David was I had invited David to speak now, but I'm not seeing his name on.
Yeah, because he switched to his iPhone.
Okay.
Yeah.
Oh, is he just, maybe he's just David. I'm going to unmute whoever says just David. Let me see. Thank you everyone for your patience.
Ask her to unmute Noah.
Okay, yeah, I hear you. We hear you, David. You're good. David? Wants me to unmute Noah. Okay. Sorry, everyone. One moment.
Bradley's special talent was as a magician, and when he did magic, you screamed out, you shouted out as a kid, wow. But as a friend, which was his real calling in life, he was able to find the special aspects of you and touch you in a way that you had one of those wow moments. A poem, Farewell, My Friend. It was beautiful as long as it lasted, the journey of my life. I have no regrets whatsoever, save the pain I'll leave behind. Those dear hearts who love and care, and the strings pulling at the heart and soul, the strong arms that held me up when my own strength let me down. At every turning in my life, I came upon good friends, friends who stood by me even when the time raced by. Farewell, farewell, my friends. I smile and bid you goodbye. No, shed no tears, for I need them not. All I need is your smile. And if you feel sad, do think of me, for that's what I'll like when you live in the hearts of those you love. Remember them, you never die.
Sorry. Thank you, David. I now am going to invite Bill Stixrud, who is a very good friend of Bradley's, to speak. Okay, Bill, you should be okay.
Yeah. Bradley and Starr and I were really close friends. In the early years when Starr started going to Ohev Sholom, years before I became Jewish, I used to go in high holiday services and used to come for lunch often. And one day at lunch, he introduced me to this guy at this Orthodox synagogue who, like me, practiced the same kind of meditation, did the same kind of hot yoga that I did, worked with children. And we as a child psychologist, we had a lot in common. And not very long after that, I also learned, as Jonathan said, that Bradley sang and played the guitar as I do. And for years, just up until very recently, most weekends we get together and play. And we played with Elaine Wiesler at the synagogues several times. And the first time I met Stephanie, Stephanie is a wonderful musician and singer, and she and Bradley and I sang together. I had many wonderful memories of playing and singing with Bradley and Stephanie. And as the years went on, we celebrated holidays together. And when Starr and I moved to DC, we didn't have any family, so we started celebrating holidays, particularly Thanksgiving and Passover, with our friends and their families. And we've often said that we love the families we were born into, but we also love our chosen family. And many years ago, Bradley and Noah became part of this chosen family, and Jonathan too, when he still lived here, came at Thanksgiving. And so some of these friends are on the call now, the service now, and are mourning along with us, who love Bradley. And we hope that Noah and Vera will continue part of this chosen family. And if it ever works out logistically, that's for Stephanie too, Jonathan. And Jonathan as well, and love them all. And I also want to mention that my close connection with Bradley really was very important to me as I converted to Judaism 3 years ago. That Bradley taught me a lot about observance. He loaned me the fill-in that he had when he got for his bar mitzvah, and I still have them. And I'll keep them unless one of the boys wants them. I have to turn them over. But we just had this connection, this kind of crazy connection. Starr and I went to India, and en route, we stayed in Dubai earlier in 2019. Just by coincidence, Bradley did a show in Dubai the same day we were there. It was just weird, this connection. And people have mentioned Bradley's craft, and I just want to say too that this guy, not only did he start doing magic when he was 13, and as Jonathan said, he studied mime in France. He also studying acting with Stella Adler, who trained Marlon Brando and Robert De Niro. He was a really serious artist and a really serious performance. He worked so hard at this stuff. And he really saw magic, and particularly the Math and Magic show, as his true calling. He told me several times that he had opportunities to do a show in Vegas and make a ton of money early in his career. And he chose instead, he was a child of the 60s. He wanted to do something meaningful. And he chose to do the show for children. And the crazy thing is that Bradley's a really bright guy, but I don't think he was a terribly strong student. And he certainly wasn't a math major. And not only did he learn enough about math, but he understood math, the big picture ideas about math, that he was able to put together this program that's inspired, as Jeff Burt said last night, at least 2 million people, 2 million kids. And as somebody, I'm pretty good with kids one-on-one. I'm terrible with kids in a group. And being able to go into a performing arts center and hold the attention of 2,000 school-age kids for an hour talking about math, I mean, that's magic in itself. And Bradley's show took a big hit when the financial downturn in 2008. And at various times he thought, maybe I need to go back into acting, maybe I need to figure out some other way to do magic where I can make more money, because his shows were dependent on school funding. But he never did. In darker moments, he'd say, maybe I should have sold out. Maybe I should have just gone to Vegas. But he always came back to just being grateful that he'd found a way to use his skills that was so inspiring and helpful to people. And even the last shows he did just in the last couple of months ago, just rave reviews, just completely rave reviews about the way that his understanding of math, his understanding of children, and this craft, this acting and performance craft that he developed was so extraordinary. And I also mentioned that he was a wonderful friend. And Starr and I clearly felt how much he loved us. And even when he was struggling, when he wasn't getting enough work, he'd ask me about my life, and I'd kind of have a charmed life. And I never ever sensed that he wasn't generally happy. He was never jealous. He was always really happy for all the good things in my life, for Starr's life. And he was a wonderful friend. He loved the people in the synagogue, even though he complained a lot about the acoustics in the social hall. But he loved having lunch with people there and talking about politics and various things. He loved the rabbis, great respect for Ruth, and really his participation in the minyan, his attending the rabbi's classes were really one of the things that they gave his life meaning. And I also mentioned that Stephanie, I mean, that he loved Stephanie. And even though they broke up for a while, that he was always crazy about her. And it was always so fun for us to be together with she and Stephanie. And I really, just in the last 2 weeks, I really got a sense of how deeply he trusted Stephanie. The first night he was in the hospital, Starr and I called him, and he answered the phone because he wanted us to know that he appreciated our calling. But he said, I can't talk now. And so we hung up. He needed to save his breath to talk with Stephanie and Noah. And we didn't feel insulted at all because Stephanie and Noah did just an amazing job of advocating for him in the hospital. But he just so deeply loves Stephanie and the boys. God, I know that his deepest desire was to be a good father. And he felt so incredibly proud of Jonathan when he got off drugs, and just the way that Jonathan was brilliant, developed a successful life. And the deep love he had for both boys was just so evident every time I saw him. And every time I'd ask him about Noah, it's just, he was so incredibly proud of Noah, and always just told me about what a wonderful human being he is. And I know that he wanted nothing more than to be close to both of his sons. And I'll also just mention in closing that I didn't know everything about Bradley's life. he was either scared enough about death or vain enough that he never told Starr and I how old he was. And and we just learned a couple nights ago from Noah, and I won't tell you because it's just out of respect for Bradley. But we were really connected. The first night he went to the hospital, I was looking for something to read before I went to bed. And I took a book off the shelf on meditation that I knew I hadn't read in many years. And I'm usually tired enough that I can only read a page or two. I read like a page, I put the book down. The next night I picked it up and I read a page and I got tired. And I went to put it down on the bedside table. And I realized there was an inscription. And it was from Bradley. it is a present from Bradley 10 years ago at my 60th birthday. And clearly he was in my awareness and in my heart, and he always will be.
Thank you so much. Thank you for sharing. Before the rabbi speaks, Brenda Hattingh, who was his assistant for 19 years, would like to share a few words. So Brenda, you should be unmuted now.
Thank you. Yeah, I was his assistant on stage for 19 years. I didn't even know he was sick. So I just got Stephanie's email about his passing last night. Thank you for sending that, Stephanie, so that I could attend this today. Yeah, Bradley was a very colorful person. He drove me crazy sometimes, and I also loved him deeply. I auditioned for him in 2001 and was cast out of 200 girls. And then September 11th happened, and our shows were canceled for the rest of the year. So, yeah, I didn't, I've been thinking a lot about him. I didn't sleep very much last night, and I started writing about it. And I didn't realize at that time what a huge part of my life he would become. One of the interesting things is I'm not Jewish, and he would call me every Christmas to wish me a Merry Christmas. And he would sometimes send me a Christmas card as well. So that's, the kind of person he was to keep other people's, I don't know, what's the word I'm trying to look for? What's important to them sort of in mind, The other thing I was thinking about too is his sense of humor, which was sometimes a little unorthodox. But we did a lot of driving from one venue to the next, sometimes 6 hours of driving. And he would download podcasts that he thought I would want to listen to. But he always had just read something or learned something that he wanted to share with me. And so that was a big part of our long drives too, was talking about something I just learned. Jonathan, you also mentioned his singing. I actually recorded him without him knowing a few times. And I listened to some of those recordings last night, and there was one recording where we were just singing old country tunes to each other back and forth. Some Johnny Cash and Bobby Gentry, and also his interest in my family. He always asked about my family, and it was like he knew them all. So yeah, I think also traveling with him, also the way he saw the world was so different from anyone I know. I remember one time showing him, I was a camp counselor in California for a while, and I remember one time showing him a picture of me holding a tarantula. And he said, "Why would you pick up a scorpion?" And I said, "Bradley, that's a tarantula." And he said, "Yeah, same thing." So sort of his sort of view on the world was just very funny at times. And I don't know if he always knew how funny he was being. One time we changed a tire, a rental van, the tire blew on the freeway, and he actually called someone to tow us, but the kid that showed up to tow us didn't know what he was doing. So I ended up helping the kid get the spare out and change the tire. And we were on the side of the freeway for over an hour outside of the vehicle. And then we started driving, and I started counting alligators along the river we were parked along. And we had busted a tire in the middle of Alligator Alley. So anyway, there's just countless stories of the adventures that we had together. And I just want his family to know how much I loved him, how much I love him. And I'm thinking of you guys. Thank you. Thanks for letting me speak.
Yeah, thank you for sharing. Thank you. Rabbi, I'm just going to, okay. Rabbi, you should be unmuted now.
Yeah, very powerful words. And first of all, to Noah and to Jonathan, I wanted you to know how much your father spoke about you, about how he thought you were brilliant. He was so proud of you. And I want you to know that you were first and foremost on his mind at all times. You know, I've had the honor to know Bradley. He's one of the first people I met after I came to our shul in 2004. Since then, we worshiped together, we prayed together, we davened together, we studied Torah together, really all the time. This week's portion talks about the words, V'niktashti b'toch b'nei Yisrael. We're supposed to be consecrated. It's the mitzvah of Kiddush Hashem. From that mitzvah, sanctifying God's name, we learn the importance, the Talmud says, of gathering together in a minyan. And that was really the first way I got to know Bradley. When I told him soon after I came to Washington, we need help making a daily minyan. He said, oh, sure, no problem. I didn't realize he lived a 20-plus minute drive from the shul. But he gave me his cell phone. And then I used to call him sometimes when we were short. And then I used to call him every morning. I think I called him every morning at around 5:45. You could check his cell phone records. You'll see a call. And no matter where he was in the world, he'd get his call. He'd say, you know, I can't make it. I'm in California. It's 2:30. Never upset with me for calling. Always just happy to serve the community. Who the idea is of V'niktashti. Bradley recognized the importance of serving community. And that's how I knew he was really sick. When I called him and he said, maybe a week before Purim, I said, where have you been the last couple of days? And he said, there's something really wrong with me. I just don't even know what it is. And I've gone to the doctor now twice. They don't know what it is. I don't know if that was the corona or something else, but that's how I knew he was really sick, because I would call him on the snowiest days. And he'd always come running over and he'd daven with us. No matter what time I called him, he always said, I'll be right there. And then after we davened together, the conversation went like this. Bradley, will you stay and study Talmud? He's like, oh, I've got so much to do. I'll just stay for 1 minute. 45 minutes later, we finished the page of the Talmud together every single time. And the way it would work was we'd study Talmud for 3 minutes, and then Bradley would say, but Trump. And I'd say, Bradley, let's just leave Trump. And he would give it another minute. Then he'd bring up politics. And I'd say, okay, Bradley, we're going to do some more Talmud, then tell us. And he always, let's just say, he wasn't the biggest fan of the current president of the United States. And I think he would want me to say that at our service, because that was certainly something that was on his mind a lot. But we studied Talmud together for 16 years, and he remembered it better than me. He would always say, oh, this reminds me of this page or this page or this page. And it was such a joy to study together. I'm going to miss you so much. We studied together so beautiful, those days of just studying with going back to Ernie Shalowitz and all those days of studying together. And Bradley traveled to Israel with us, and he remembered the tour far better than me. That was just Bradley as a worshiper and as a study partner. Of course, soon after he came to the shul, he told me he was a magician. And then every year, Bradley would do magic tricks, and the kids would squeal with delight. And we got him to do it so many times until I memorized the show. And my kids loved the show. And he would, I remember we used to come to the Pesach Seder. He would do these big shows as part of the communal Seder, and he'd have Noah assisting him or John assisting him, and he would do fun stuff. And I remember when he sawed someone in half in the front of the Aron Kodesh, and he levitated my daughter in front of the Aron Kodesh. And we were always trying to figure out how he did those tricks. And then sometimes after learning, I would say, Bradley, I see a trick you do on YouTube. And I'd show it to him. He said, no, that person does it the wrong way. That's the wrong way. But we had so much fun watching his magic shows. I remember one time that he found out it was my son's birthday, a 4-year-old, and he said, I'm going to do something nice for him. And he showed up at his nursery and did a full magic show. At the nursery. And that's just because Bradley was above all a great friend. And he had a very, very strong sense of moral consciousness. He knew what was right and what was wrong. And I remember I would sometimes talk magic to him. I'd say, I went to this show, a famous show, Penn and Teller, or David Copperfield. He goes, yeah, I know those guys. And I got out of that whole group because it wasn't for me. And like Bill Stixrud said before, Bradley could have been the biggest name in Vegas, but this is the concept of Kiddush Hashem. He didn't want to devote his life to just entertaining in that fashion. He wanted to entertain in a high moral value way, in a way that brought a positive educational teaching to the world. And these were some of his skills. You know what he used his skills for? His magic, his hypnosis skills. My wife told me last night, and I didn't even know this. She said that Bradley told her, as John said, he could impact people's lives. When it saves one person's life, saves the world. And he told my wife, I can help people quit smoking. So Ronnie used to send her patients to Bradley, and she said she sent many patients to him, and he hypnotized them and caused them to quit smoking as a result of that. So Bradley saved so many people's lives by getting them off of smoking. This is the idea. I started by saying the verse of V'nikdashti b'toch b'nei Yisrael. This is the concept of Kiddush Hashem, sanctifying God's name. And Bradley did that. Bradley did that by carrying himself in this manner, by thinking what is the right way to live, what's the proper way to live. He became a vegetarian for that reason. He studied Talmud, he read, he was always pushing himself to understand more and more, understand how the world works and come to the bottom and understand the essence of the world. You were such a good friend, Bradley. I'm going to miss you so much. And just before I finish, I wanted to share one thing, that I have a piece of parchment which I wrote. I'm going to show you. It got a little wet from the rain, and the parchment was of the Torah scroll, but I couldn't include it in the Torah scroll because it had one mistake on it. It's a very holy writing, and I'll show. And basically, the law is that we're supposed to bury it in a very sacred manner. You can't just throw it in the ground. We have to put it in a box. And I was thinking, for many years, for a long time, I wasn't able to bury it, but I'd like to bury this with Bradley as the sanctification, because Bradley is my chavrusa for many years, and now I feel like the words of the Torah should be with Bradley in his grave. So, may his memory be a blessing. We're going to ask Mr. Clark now to bring over the machine, and Noah, you can do ceremonial earth, place some earth in the ground. Noah brought gloves to place some earth in the ground, and I brought my shovel from home to also place some earth in the ground.
Rabbi, just tell me when we should do the Kalmali also.
Yeah. I'll let you know, Maharat, once the Aron is covered with earth, then we could do the Kalmali.
Okay, so I'll leave you unmuted if that's okay. Is that okay?
Okay. Yeah,
okay,
sure.
Thank you. Thanks.
Yeah. And Mr. Clark, you can bring the machine. Okay. Okay. Okay, Maharat, you can actually say the Kalmali now while they're doing this. You can mute me.
Okay, I'll mute you. Okay, I'll mute you and then I'll mute you. Okay, so what I will now be reciting in Hebrew is the blessing, one of the blessings that we say as we pray for Bradley's neshama, for his soul. El Malei Rachamim Shochen Bamromim Amtzei Menicha Nechona Al Kanfei Hashchina V'Ma'alot Kedoshim V'Teorim Kezor Harakim Hasirim Et Nishmat Jov Ber Shalom Ben Rosalind Shehalach Le'olamo V'Avur She'anachnu Mipalolim Ba'ad Haskarat Nishmato V'Gan Eden Tehei Menuchato L'Chaim Ba'al Rachamim Yastireu V'Seter Knafav Le'olamim V'Yitzor Chaim Et Nishmato Adonai hu nachlato v'yanuach b'shalom amishkavo b'namar. Amen. And this prayer prays that may the Lord be Bradley's heritage, and may he repose on his resting place in peace. And then we all respond, Amen, which I know that we all responded. Rabbi, I'm going to, Rabbi, you're now unmuted again. And tell me if you, because you're there, you can let us know when we should begin, or when I should begin Tziduk Hadin.
Okay, you can start the Tziduk Hadin. They're bringing over
Okay.
the tractor now. It's going to be very noisy, but you could do the
Yeah, I'm going to mute you again, and then whoops, sorry, one moment, and I'll come back to you. Oh, you muted yourself, thank you. Okay. And now reciting Tziduk Hadin, which is a bit of a longer prayer that is recited while the earth is continued to be poured on the coffin. Hatzur tamim pa'alo ki chol drachab mishpat. El emunah ve'ein avel tzadik ve'ashar hu. Hatzur tamim b'chol po'al mi yomar lo matif'al. Hashalit b'mata uvimal mimit imechaye marid she'el v'yal. Hatzur tamim b'chol ma'aseh mi yomar elav mataseh. Ha'omer ve'oseh chesed chinam lanu taseh. Uviskut hanekad keseh hakshiva ve'aseh. Tzadik b'chol drachav hatzur tamim, erech apayim u'malei rachamim. Chamalna b'chusna al avot uvanim, ki lecha adon hasichot be'erachamim. Tzadik ata Adonai lehamid lechayot, asher be'yadcha pikton kol ruchot. Chalila lecha zichroneni limchot, v'yihiu na enecha be'erachamim, aleinu pikuchot. Ki lecha adon harachamim v'hasichot. Adam im bein shana yiyeh o elef shanim yiyeh. Ma yitrono kelo haya yiyeh. Baruch dayan hamet mimit u'mechayeh. Baruch hu ke'emetino u'meshotet hakol beino. U'meshalem adam cheshbono v'dino v'hakol lishmo hodaya yitinu. Yadanu Adonai ki tzedek mishpatecha titzdak bidvarecha v'tiske b'shavtecha ve'en laharher achar midat Shavtecha, Tzadik ata Adonai b'yashar mishpatecha. Diane emet, shofet tzedek be'emet, baruch dayan emet, shekol mishpatav tzedek be'emet. Nefesh kol chai be'yadecha, tzedek mal'a yamincha be'yadecha. Rachem al plitat tzon yadecha, v'tomar l'malach heref yadecha. Gedol ha'itza v'rav ha'aliliyah, asher einecha pekuchot al kol darchei b'nei adam. Latet leish ki drachav v'chifrei me'alalav. V'hagid ki yashar Adonai tziri v'lav latabo. Adonai natan v'Adonai lakach yehi shem Adonai mevarach. V'hu rachum yichaper avon v'lo yashchid. V'hirba la'shiva po v'lo ya'ir kol chamato. The Lord has given and the Lord has taken away. Blessed is the name of the Lord. And God, the merciful one, will forgive iniquity and not destroy, frequently withdrawing anger, not arousing the entirety of God's rage. Oops. Noah, Justine, I unmuted you so that you can say Kaddish because the rabbis request you. So if it's not quite time yet, maybe Noah, you can mute yourself and then unmute when you're ready to say Kaddish. Yeah, of course, I apologize. Jonathan, also, you are unmuted, as well as Brother Jeff.
Hello?
Yeah.
Yes.
Who, is that Jonathan or Noah?
No, this is Jeff. This is Bradley's brother.
Oh, Jeff. Oh, okay. Yeah, apologies. It's trying to make sure I'm getting everyone. I'm also going to unmute. Oh, yes, I'm going to unmute Rosalind as we prepare for Kaddish. And here's
Was that from me or was that?
okay.
Could you unmute the rabbi, please?
Unmute the rabbi as well. Yes. Okay. Okay.
No, I just unmute Jonathan and
Yeah,
Noah
we've got
and Rosalind and Jeffrey to recite the mourner's
yes.
Kaddish.
I unmuted Stephanie as well.
Okay, fine, good.
Yeah. So.
All right, so.
Oh wait, Jonathan is what? Jonathan is muted again. I apologize. One moment. Let me figure out what happened.
Still muted.
Okay. Jonathan, can you just? Jonathan, can you speak just so we know that you can hear us?
Oh, you found Jonathan.
Jonathan, say something.
God,
is he there? Did he leave?
Jeff. It's Jeff.
No, that's Jeff.
Right.
Yeah, I'm Jeff. I don't know where Jonathan went.
Let's just all hold on.
Let's try to call him and get him back on.
Noah, is it possible that you muted yourself? Because it's not letting me.
Everyone.
Okay, Jonathan, you come up too. Jonathan, now can you talk? Jonathan?
He says his mic's not working.
He said his mic is not working, but
He
he's
said
here.
he's
Okay.
not muted, but there's something.
Okay. Well, Jonathan, I've left you unmuted, so if it starts to be able to work again, hopefully we will be able to hear you. Okay, I think I have everyone unmuted now.
Okay.
Thanks. That's it?
No. Yes, we are.
Yit Gadal v'Yit Kadash Shemei Rabbah Balma Divra Kirhute V'Yamlich Malhute V'Chayechon U'V'Yomechon U'Chaye Dechol Man Kariv V'Imro Amen. Barach v'yishtabach v'yitha'ar v'yitlaman naseh v'yithadar v'yithalal v'yithaleh v'yithalal shmei dekudashah b'chu Eila kol yachata v'shirata v'shlichata v'nachumata v'yamiran v'rama Amen. Yehi Shala Maraba Kamaya Hayim Aleinu Baal Kol Yisrael Ve'emru Amen. Aseh Shalom B'Ramav Uyaseh Shalom Aleinu Ve'al Kol Yisrael Ve'emru Amen.
Amen. Okay, I've muted everyone again. Apologies, Rabbi. I am just looking. Okay, Rabbi, are you there? Okay.
Yeah. So basically, thank you everybody. At this point, our attention shifts, and now we are comforting the mourners. I know that Noah set up a Zoom room to accept Shiva visitors from 9:30 to 11 a.m. in the morning, and is planning on attending when he can our service. But Noah, as you walk, I'm going to put the video on you so we can watch you walking, and everybody could say separately to Noah, to Jeff, to Jonathan, to Stephanie, the words that we say to mourners. So no, I'm going to show you walking. You walk
Wait, sorry.
like you're walking in
Oh.
front of everybody, signaling the start of your shiva. Hamakom
Yerushalayim.
may be comforted with all those who mourn for Zion.
Rabbi, is there anything else you wanted to share?
No, this is
Okay.
concludes our service.
Okay, thank you everyone for joining. I put in the chat window that everyone should be able to see the Shiva information. Noah has also added evening hours as well. Oh,
I just want to also thank Mr. Clark and the wonderful people at our cemetery. They worked overtime to get this under difficult conditions to make sure that our cemetery was cared for and that Bradley's funeral was done properly. We're so grateful to Mr. Clark and his team. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Thank you. So the Shiva information, like I said, is in the chat. So if you want, you can, if you don't have that yet, you can, copy paste that. And thank you to everyone for coming.